Hello and welcome. So, if your organization is using the cloud, you already know about its incredible power. But let's be honest, you probably also know the headache of trying to manage the costs. Today, we're going to break down FinOps, the framework that's all about bringing financial smarts to the cloud and making absolutely sure that every dollar you spend is actually driving real business value. All right, I want to start with a number that should really make you sit up and pay attention. 33%. What do you think that represents? You heard that right. A full third of all the money that companies are pouring into the cloud is just gone, wasted. And we're not talking about a small leak here. This is a massive hole in the budget for so many businesses out there. So the big question is, what do we do about it? How do we fix this? Well, the challenge really comes from the way the cloud works. We've all moved away from those predictable capital expenses, buying big physical servers. Now we're in this super flexible, but also highly variable operating expense model. This whole pay-as-you-go thing is amazing for agility, but man, it can lead to some seriously unpredictable costs and a ton of waste if you're not careful. And that's exactly where FinOps comes into the picture. It is the solution built for this modern cloud problem. But here's the key thing to understand. It's not some piece of software you just install or a simple checklist you follow. No, it's way more fundamental than that. At its core, FinOps is a cultural practice. You can see it in the name, right? It's a mashup of finance and DevOps. The whole idea is to create a system where everyone shares accountability. You want to get your engineers, your finance people, your leadership, everyone, speaking the same language and taking real ownership of their slice of the cloud spend. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures that classic, painful tug of war. You've got finance looking at a giant bill saying, cut this, and you've got engineers pushing back saying, we can't, we need this to keep things running. What FinOps does is provide that missing link, that common language, so it's no longer a standoff about cost, but a collaborative chat about value and efficiency. This whole philosophy really rests on a few simple but powerful ideas. First, efficiency. Pretty straightforward, wasting money is bad for business. Duh. Second, collaboration. Teams have to work together in near real time because the cloud operates in real time. Third is ownership, which is about empowering every single team to manage their own cloud usage. And finally, and maybe most importantly, all decisions have to be driven by clear, accessible data. Okay, this right here, this is really the heart of the FinOps strategy. See, it's not just about finding the cheapest way to do things. That's a common mistake. It's actually all about this constant balancing act between three things: speed, quality, and cost. That classic iron triangle. The real goal isn't just to pick the cheapest option. It's to find that perfect sweet spot where you're delivering the absolute most business value for every single dollar you spend. Okay, so that's the philosophy, but how does it actually work in practice? Let's get into the FinOps lifecycle, which is this really cool, iterative process for continuous improvement. The whole lifecycle is broken down into three simple, repeating phases: inform, optimize, and operate. The best way to think about it is like a continuous loop. You see your spending, you find ways to make it better, and then you actually put those changes into action, and then you start all over again. Everything, and I mean everything, kicks off with the inform phase. It's a simple truth. You just can't manage what you can't see. So the goal here is to get total visibility. That means allocating costs to the right teams, understanding the spending trends, and benchmarking performance. This is where you build the data foundation for every decision you're going to make later. Once you have that crystal clear visibility, you move into the optimize phase. This is where you basically become a value hunter. The data from the inform phase tells you exactly where to look for savings. You can start asking really smart questions like, hey, are we paying for servers that are just sitting there doing nothing? Or could we commit to some usage and get a way better rate? This phase is all about turning those insights from your data into a real, concrete action plan. And finally, you operate. This is where the rubber meets the road. Teams actually go and execute those optimizations. They track the impact, they check the business metrics to make sure things are moving in the right direction, and they keep refining their processes. And then the cycle begins all over again. It's this beautiful feedback loop of constant improvement. So you've gone through the life cycle a few times. What's the actual payoff? Well, this is where FinOps really shines. It directly connects all that work to maximizing the business value of your cloud investment. And believe me, the results can be pretty dramatic. Yeah, the benefits are real and they are tangible. Organizations that get really good at FinOps, they report major cost reductions, much better overall financial performance, way smarter decision making, and a huge boost in transparency across the entire business. Everybody knows what's going on. And let's just quickly look at this from the top, because FinOps delivers something critical to each leader. For your CEO, it finally connects those deep engineering decisions to real business outcomes. For the CFO, it brings predictability and accountability to tech spending. And for the CTO or CIO, it gives engineers freedom to innovate, but within a smart framework. It basically aligns the entire leadership team. Now, I know this might sound like a massive undertaking, and in some ways, it is a big cultural shift. But here's the good news. You don't have to do it all at once. Adopting FinOps is a journey, not just flipping a switch overnight. And thankfully, there's a clear path called the crawl, walk, run model. You start small, in the crawl phase, right? You're just trying to get visibility and tackle the really obvious stuff, the low-hanging fruit. As you get more comfortable, you move to walk. You start to bring in automation, refine your metrics, and really get teams collaborating. And eventually, you hit the run phase, which is the goal, a fully integrated, predictive, and highly optimized practice, a well-oiled machine. So I'll leave you with a question to take back to your own team, to your own organization. Take a hard look at your cloud strategy and ask yourself, can you say with confidence that every single dollar you're spending is being put to its absolute best use? If the answer is no, or even just, I'm not sure, well, it sounds like your FinOps journey is waiting for you. Thanks for tuning in.